and welcome to the second annual I Persist, sponsored by Trio Pathways and CCAP. Thank you for joining us. My name is Emma Bates, and I am a student ambassador, and I'm also a Trio student. We hope that the stories and advice you hear today will inspire and encourage you to keep working towards your goals, no matter what challenges you face. We are excited to have Natasha Lee here to moderate today's discussion. Natasha is our student activities coordinator and has worked at Virginia Western for 13 years. She has a bachelor's degree in communication from Virginia Tech, where she also served as a student special events planner. In 2015, Natasha completed a master's degree from UNC at Greensboro with a concentration in peace and conflict studies. Over the last 2 years, Natasha has been training to become a certified volunteer mediator. She is originally from Abingdon, Virginia, and went to Virginia Tech as a very nervous first-generation college student. Natasha will share some of her own experiences with us today as she moderates our panel. Please welcome Natasha Lee.
Thank you so much to Emerald for that nice introduction. As she noted, I went to Virginia Tech as a very nervous first-generation college student. I had a student planner. My first week at Virginia Tech, I went to the website and put in my planner every single date that I could withdraw, get a refund, just kind of back out of the whole college thing. I was very excited to go to college, mostly for the independence and getting out on my own and knowing that I could do things myself. But I grew up on the same farm that I've got it written down so I don't get it wrong, my great-great-grandfather had lived on. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations that we had all lived on the same farm and not moved from our farm in Abingdon, Virginia. So I was used to growing up in the same community where everybody knew me, knew my grandparents, and so that was a very different experience to leave home and be disconnected from that community where I felt automatically accepted. So I was very nervous, and I just wasn't sure that I could uproot myself and move away and completely feel at home in a brand new place. Virginia Tech's a big college with a lot of different people from a lot of different places, and it was a culture shock for me to go to somewhere like that and adjust to the new living conditions. So I visited home a lot my first semester. I stayed in contact with all my old friends from high school and went to Radford or JMU and visited with them because I just felt more connected to them than I was in my new place at Virginia Tech. And I just really focused on my schoolwork, stuck it out, and I had that small goal of I'm just going to finish this semester. All right, I'm just going to finish this year. Maybe after this year, if I need to transfer, I can. But I kept moving and kept going to that next step, kept focusing on my academics and schoolwork, and I got through it. But towards the end of that first year, I spent a little time just going to events on campus, like going to plays or going to concerts, going to the International Festival, going to club fairs, going to football games, just going to all these events that the campus had around at different times and striking up conversations with people that I met that were also there by themselves, talking to new people in the dorms and all the other places that you run into other new students. And as time went on, I would get invited to join people to go to other events. And as I got more involved with certain types of activities, they asked me to help be on the committee to help plan them. And just organically through time, I got connected with more people and started to feel a little bit more at home at Virginia Tech. So today, I'm the student activities coordinator here at Virginia Western because I've been in your shoes if you're someone who is coming here and you're not really sure if you fit in, or you don't really know that many people, or you're missing your friends from high school and you're not sure how to make new friends here at college. I've been in your shoes before, and I want to provide a lot of things for you to connect with other students here at Virginia Western. So that's what drives me to do what I do every day is the experience that I had at Virginia Tech and coming and meeting new people and helping combat that feeling of being lonely or not really sure if it was the place for me. So I'm excited to be your moderator today for those reasons, because I, as a first-generation college student, have a passion to make everyone feel at home here at Virginia Western. So we have some other panelists that are with us today that are also going to share their stories. We've got some questions for them to help talk a little bit more about their experiences. So I want to give each panelist the opportunity to introduce themselves to you quickly. We'll start here at the end, at this end.
Hello. Okay, good. Okay, I'm Alexander Scott, and what I do is that I change people's lives through education with marketing, public speaking, and Spanish. I'm coming from Dominican Republic, yeah, near Puerto Rico, just in case some people don't know that, because many people ask me if in Dominican Republic is in Mexico. And I love that question, but no, yes, I speak English and Spanish. That's the language big in Dominican Republic.
Hello, I'm Angela Hairston-Niblett, and I come to you from Martinsville, Virginia. So I persist myself daily, 5 days a week, to drive an hour and 10 minutes one way, just to come and serve you. So I'm here 5 days a week at 7 a.m., okay? So if I can do that, so can you. You can be here at class. We look forward to serving you in TRIO Student Support Services.
Hey everyone, I am Mindy Woodford, and I am a professional photographer in the Bonsack area. View Got Framed Photography. I'm a recent graduate of Virginia Western. I went into the medical coding program. I also do some volunteering at the animal shelters around, mainly Regional Center for Animal Care and Protection, Angels of Assisi, Franklin County Humane Society, and I have a little boy who is almost 7 who I enjoy spending most of my time with.
Good afternoon, everybody. And to my fellow faith followers, I have to say salam. So salam means peace. And that extends to all of you as well. I'm a retired general surgeon. As you can see, I'm the most senior most amongst here in the age. You can see my hair's gone and my beard's falling off. General surgeon from Pakistan. Now, if you didn't know Dominican Republic, I don't know if you know Pakistan. It's south of China and to the west of India, to the east of Afghanistan. You should know that now. Afghanistan, we have been there for 20 years now, right? I started off going to, and I'm just going to tell you this so that briefly you know how multicultural we are. I went to a school in my elementary called St. Mary's Cambridge School. Then I went to a college called St. Patrick's Government School, right? Then I entered a medical school over there in Pakistan. But things don't work out in Pakistan in medical schools. When student bodies start fighting with each other, they don't fight with their fists. They use knives and pistols and revolvers. So the school gets closed every 2 weeks and we have a vacation. Anyway, my father kicked me out. He said, no, you need to get your education done. So I went to Turkey, started learning Turkish because everything in Turkey is in Turkish. I was in Ankara, which is not the capital, but Ankara, I think it is the capital. I'm not sure anymore. From there, I found the Turkish language to be really, really tough. And so I went on to Egypt. And there I found everything is in English. So that was easy for me because my background coming from St. Patrick's College and St. Mary's Cambridge School was English. They were Catholic parochial schools. And finally, from Egypt, I went back home, worked hard, went into training, trained at a prestigious hospital called Aga Khan University Hospital, and did my boards, which certified me as a surgeon. At the same time, I took my exams for the US MLE, they call it. That means they equate me to medical students here in the US. And the reason I took that was my wife was coming over to train as a pediatrician. So I said, I'm not going to stay away from her, all right. Well, so anyway, I came to the USA, started my life in Gainesville, Florida, moved to Iowa, from Iowa to Texas, Texas to Virginia. Every state we went, we had a baby. We had to impregnate the states, so. Except when we came to Virginia and they said, no, that's enough, okay. Over here in Virginia, and I'll stop here, I taught at the medical school, which is in Blacksburg, called the Virginia Osteopathic College of Medicine. And then when the medical school in Roanoke opened up, I became one of its founders. I was hired before the school even started. And I set up the anatomy department. And hopefully it's running still, because I just couldn't handle the politics and the academic jealousy and the bigotry that goes on. And I wasn't trained for that. I was a general surgeon, So I'm retired and I'm here now trying to do my best to be part of the community. And I would very much welcome tough questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you all so much. So the first thing to dive into your experiences in college, if a couple of you all could answer and tell our audience, why did you decide to go to college? What inspired you to go for higher education?
Neither of my parents attended college, but my brother, who is 5.5 years older, also attended Virginia Western. I decided to go back to college because I had some drastic changes in my life that happened to me on Mother's Day of 2018. The little family that I had always known was broken apart, and I was left by myself to take care of me and my little autistic boy. There's no strength that you can have until you're fighting for your kid. There was no plan in place of how things were going to work out. I previously left my job of 7 years to pursue my photography and grow my business that I started 8808. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. When this sudden change happened, I knew I had to do whatever it took to take care of my little boy, as my photography business just wasn't pulling in the amount of money I had hoped. I had obtained my associate's degree in the medical field 25 years prior through a private college and was a medical transcriptionist for about 5 to 6 years. This, however, became an obsolete field, so I knew I had to do something to further my education and chose to become a medical coder. I very much enjoy the medical field and knew I wanted to go back into it.
Excellent question, and I have basically 3 areas that I would like to cover. The topmost of that is my faith. My faith commands me to seek knowledge, and it says actually in these words, go even to China if you have to go to seek faith. Now 1400 years ago, going to China was not as easy as it is today. You used to ride camels in those days, right? So it took forever to get to China. But what it meant was that even if you have to go through so much struggle, go, get yourself educated. My second incentive were my parents. And may God bless them, both have passed away. My father always realized that education is the way out of poverty. Education is the way out of being stigmatized. And I thought that happened only in the third world countries. But I see that in all the countries that I have visited, Turkey, Egypt, USA. I've been in England for a little while to give my exams. And I noticed that. So in order to get out of that stigmatism, my father pushed us hard. And so I say, after the will of God, it's my parents who really pushed me. The third thing, and I'll end with that, is that my environment. When I saw my environment, I'm a very outgoing person. I was friends with the driver, car driver. I was friends with the person who makes lemon juice on a cart. I was friends with the housekeeper or the custodian, you call them here. And I realized that they're having a very tough time. And the tough time was in the 1970s. And if I do not do, the times were getting tougher for them. In 20 years, they would be having a tougher time. So if I did not educate myself, how would I survive? How would I make a family? How would I support my children? So those 3 things, faith, my parents, and the realization that if I do not do this today, 25 years down the line, I'll be on the road, homeless. And that drove me. Those are real drivers. Thank you.
Okay, that was an excellent question. Let me see if I can answer the way so eloquent they answer. It won't be like that, but I'm gonna get closer. Yes, I am the first generation of university professional in my family. And one of the things is that I'm gonna reveal my age a little bit, but the time when I was a child, when you have a college degree, you improve your lives so incredibly. And I felt that, okay, if I get that ring from that university, I'm gonna make it. Because everyone that I saw that have a professional life, they have better cars than I have. And I didn't have any car, the car that I wanted, I meant. And most of them, they have the most beautiful girls. And because of that, I wanted to do that, and the respect you get when you get an education. Maybe that was part of the things that I learned when I went to a Canadian school in Dominican Republic. It was directed by nuns, and they tell you the importance of education, and if you didn't understand it, they make you understand it. And when I saw that situation, I said, yes, why not go into college and be one of the first in the family, in the first generation to get a college degree?
I am first. I am one of the first people. I'm a product of coming from a single parent home. My mother is the youngest of 15 children. She was the only sibling to actually graduate from high school. So her life, she was always told to work hard. It was about work ethic. It was never about education. So coming up, she went into the nylon industry. When she went into that, she worked shift work, meaning that she worked 8 to 4, 4 to 12, 12 to 8, and every 7 days she would change her shift. I saw my mom work extremely hard. And from that, my grandmother reared me. She was always gone. So it was my grandmother that only had a 3rd grade formal education that instilled in me that there's more to life. There is a better way. And coming up from that, it was similar to the story that Natasha shared with you. And I had no examples. No one else in my family had embarked down the journey of going to college. Education was never talked about in my household. I was never asked, did you do your homework? Do you have homework? Do you need assistance with your homework? That was never a conversation in my household. The conversation was always about respect, integrity. It was about work ethic, having a good name. And if you have a good name, you can obtain anything. It wasn't until I decided that looking out there, it has to be a better way. And it was when I was told in high school that I was not college material. It was when the people in my community, my family, told me that you would never amount to anything. When I decided that I would obtain a degree, not even knowing how to begin, not even knowing how to navigate this process, but I was determined that I would press beyond what others had carved out for me to be, and I would do this no matter what.
Thank you all so much for sharing the way you got started into your higher education. I think a common theme that I'm hearing from all of you is that something sparked a time in your life when you knew there was a better way. There was a better way to maybe for economics, for your family income, or maybe a different way that you wanted to live that was different than the way you grew up. I know that was the case for myself as well. And so when you think about our community and how people decide to get a degree, there's something that snaps on many times that says, I want to do this because there's something else out there that's different than what I know. And that's a challenge many times to overcome, which leads us to the next question that I want to pose to our panelists. Could you tell us about a time when you had an obstacle and you encountered in your higher education and how you overcame it? And if you had any resources or people in your experience that helped you along the way, if you could share that as well, if you all would like to answer that. Okay.
When I started my search through the Virginia Western catalog of classes, I'll be honest, I was lost. I didn't know what to do from the time Mother's Day struck until December was when I finally decided what I was going to do, and I was going to go back to college. I was looking through the Virginia Western catalog of classes, just dumbfounded. I had found 3 classes that I had completed through my education the first time around that I was required to take. I needed to get through my classes, obviously, as quick as possible, and wondered if there was a way to be able to test out of these classes. So I went in. This obviously was a huge obstacle because I thought, I got to take them again. I've already had them. What all do I remember? Can I just eliminate them? So I went in and spoke with Tracy Harmon, and she was thankfully able to help me test out of these classes and release me from being required to take them. I was given a challenge for Medical Terminology 1, Medical Terminology 2, and keyboarding that the dean graciously allowed. Meaning I didn't have to participate in those classes to complete my certificate. And this allowed me to graduate in July, versus being as far out as December. And that's pretty much the only obstacle that I ran across, but was very thankful for that.
Thank you. That was an excellent question. And like I mentioned, when I went to the medical school in Pakistan, every 2 weeks it would close because the student bodies would fight with each other and somebody would be injured or killed. And the only way to keep the violence down was to close the school. That was the easy solution. And then I would go sit at home, and my father would worry about I would get into drugs and other stuff, you know. You need to have, like she had, you said Teresa? Yes. Yeah. Tracy, yeah. In your life, you need to have some figure which guides you. And it can be figure from your family, or it can be figure from the faculty, from the staff. It can be somebody, a family friend. Because it's a treacherous path to follow. It's very difficult. Like she's lost, you know, I was lost too. And like I said, I was blessed to have my dad to guide me. He was the first generation, and I was the second generation of scholars. And he always, with a degree, and he always told me, you know, you can only help others if you first help yourself. If you do not help yourself, you are unable to take care of anybody else. So he used to take care of my widowed aunt. He paid for the education of my nephews, of his nephews. You know, whenever somebody migrated from India to Pakistan, he would house them. He would never charge them anything. But why was he able to do that? I mean, he practically showed me that you can only help others if you are in a strong position. And that's what you need to be. Strength here in the US comes from two things. One, I think that is more important than the second, money. So you have to have savings. Number two is education. We are not measured in humanity as we should be. Ideally in a world we should be measured in our humanity. But we are measured with our possessions, and that's how the trend is, becoming all over the world. We are measured by what degrees we have. We are measured by what awards we have earned. So all those things are a measurement of you. And in order to gain that, the first basic building block is education. The second obstacle that I met was when I came to the US. I had worked and trained and studied for 16 years. And when I came to the US and they said, that's no good, you have to start from zero. And I said, what? You have to start from zero. But I did start from zero. You don't have to work ways. You just have to do it. And again, because I said you will be measured by what you have, your possessions. The only one who doesn't measure you by your possessions is the one who created you, whoever that may be. And that entity measures you for something else. But anyway, let me not ramble on, and I tend to do that. But you can see I came as a general surgeon, but when I didn't find a place who would give me a position because they wanted me to start from scratch, I started in the insurance industry, in the health insurance industry. I worked for an insurance company. So it's never below your dignity as long as you're working and earning honest earnings. It should not be below your dignity. And then from there, I went to God Opens Doors. I went to the University of Iowa. I was interviewing to get a position in the training because they said you have to start the training from scratch. And that gentleman, he saw my experience and everything, and he said, no, I'm going to put you as a faculty. So he asked me to come back. So, you know, again, it's the person, it's the contacts you make. And sometimes you make contacts by volunteering, by being in voluntary organizations. Sometimes you make contacts by doing an internship. Yes, it takes away your time, but this is the time you're going to make yourself. Once the time passes, remember, my time passed when I came to the US and they asked me to start from scratch. It was not easy. Once you have a wife and a kid, it becomes more harder. So this is the time to make yourself what you want to make yourself. Thank you.
Okay, if I'm going to tell you all the things that I went through before I got my education, I'm going to tell you in these years. It took me 9 years to get my degree, my bachelor degree, a degree that you can get in 4 years. It wasn't because I wasn't smart enough. It was because I couldn't do in the time that many of my friends were doing it. After I finished high school, I spent 2 years without going to college because the first years of my life, it was okay. My family were kind of well off in that time, but something happened that we end up living. I'm from a single mother. My father died before I was born, so my mom was the only one that raised me. And I went to school, elementary school and middle school. It was a very good school because it was a Canadian school, and we didn't have to pay that much, but it was a very good education. And after that, when something went wrong in the family, we ended up living with my grandmother. And in my grandmother's house, she was okay, but something happened with her brother that they lost all their money, and we ended up in a house, 2-bedroom, 12 people. And in that house that we end up, we have to make do. I have to study the way I could. Around me, there was nobody inspiring me to go to college, no whatsoever. And by luck to me, I got a cousin that he was inspired to go to college by one of my aunt. And when he went and he finished college and she sacrificed everything for him, he kind of abandoned her when she was dying of cancer. Just a moment. Okay, now I got it together. Okay, and when that happened, I was taking care of my aunt right there. And the image that my grandmother had of any person going to college is that if you go to college, you're going to abandon your family, your mom, the same way that your cousin did. And that's what I hear every time when I was studying. I used to, in Dominican Republic, we have something that is really funny, that is blackout, voluntary one. Not like when there's a store or something. The power company, they just turn off the lights. Boom, you have a blackout for 5 hours. So I have to have a candle to stop, and like this. I wear glasses because of that, I think. That's my theory. So, and I have to study, read like that. And a person coming to my ear telling me, you're not gonna do anything for us. What are you gonna do? Imagine what kind of encouragement I received to continue going to college. But anyway, I continue. My friends were doctors, and they were supposed to take like 7 years in doctor degree and everything like that. And my career was supposed to be 4. And I first said, okay, I'm gonna go. And I was working and going to college, and I was taking 1 class per semester. And it wasn't like summer, no, 1 class per semester, or 2 sometimes. And we got public transportation, and the public transportation I have to hang on the door to get to school. And there was even one day that I went to school, and there was a little bird, and he had the courage to do that on me. So that was the day that I failed in one exam, and I decided to go back home because it wasn't a good day. But anyway, when I went there, first of all, I didn't even know what to study. I wanted to be an engineer. Engineer takes 8 years. I'm not gonna take too long, but 8 years. And when I made my calculations, I said, if I finish my degree in 8 years, my mother won't be able to support me by then. She didn't support me at all. I did all my things by myself. Because after I finished high school in Dominican Republic, once you are 18, you're on your own if you are a man. If you are a lady, you can still live with mom. But if you are a man, either you work or you work. You see, so I didn't have that luxury that many of my friends have, that they could go to college without any problem. But I went anyway, and I paid my tuition by myself. We don't have so many facilities, many things like people have here, that you can have student loans and stuff like that, because back then, it wasn't well developed in that way. So anyway, I started going to college knowing that I was gonna be an engineer because I was good with math. Yes, but it was gonna take me 8 years. When you do full semester of 5 classes, how many years gonna take me taking 1 class per semester? By the time I finish, I will have grandchildren. So what I did was, okay, I changed. And I changed to marketing. And in marketing, I was going to school and working. I started teaching, and at the same time, and in marketing, when the people that they were hiring in order to work in marketing were the people from the private school. So my chances from a public school to work were like minimum. And I said, I gotta find a way. And when I said that, I said, I'm not gonna last too long. I changed my career again to a 3rd career now, taking 2 classes at a time. I'm working at the same time. And as I told you, listening to people around me saying, you're not gonna do anything with that. What are you gonna do with education? Nothing. And in the university that I went, there were 60 people per classroom. 60 people per classroom. And if you fail, you just fail. One teacher did something to me that I was very close to pass my class. When you get under 70, you can retake the test. But if you get 60, you fail. 60 down, you fail right away. Between 65 and 70. And that teacher showed me a test giving me 69. A 69 that you can see it from the door there. To humiliate me in front of the whole class. And I said, did I pass? And he said, well, maybe. He gave me that point. And I said, okay. He thought that I was not gonna make it. It was one of the hardest classes that I had. That I learned so much about it. That I even remember him so well. Yeah. But anyway, even though people say you would never finish your college degree, many of my friends that were in medicine and they finished in 8 years, and I said, yeah, it's hard for me. It was really hard. But even though it was hard, my friends are doctors, some others are dentists, others are accountant. Even though I went all through that, all the situations against me, I will tell you more, but I don't have too much time. But I will tell you that even though I failed all of those things, and many times I fell down, but I get up again, I got 3 master's degree and 2 bachelor degree. No matter what.
Oh my goodness. Thank you all for your stories. I think 2 key points that I want to point out about our panelists' stories are that in many cases, it's one faculty member or one person in your life that is the difference between inspiring you to keep going. And I want to point that out because as you all are in college and completing your degrees, and you have people around you, maybe younger brothers and sisters, cousins, and one day your own children perhaps, that you may be that person for them that is going to inspire them to pursue higher education or pursue their goals and dreams. And so it's just so important to recognize those individuals who, despite all those voices who say you can't do it, that one person who tells you to keep going or connects with you, that one faculty member or that one family member. So we've got one more question that I want to address before we open it up to questions from the audience. And it's any advice that you have for students who feel like when you're in college, you feel like you don't fit in or you feel isolated because of your background, your culture, you feel different than everyone else around you. Maybe it's because you're a first-generation college student or you feel part of a minority group. So if you have anything you all would like to add on that subject, we'll open it up for that discussion.
Well, as you guys know, I went to college the first time a long time ago. My first time around, like I said, was about 25 years ago. There are scary things at going to college at 44 years old. As I mentioned previously, I was terrified. You know, I had been dependent on somebody for, I don't even know how many years, 12 years, I guess. So I think my biggest concern was, I'm 44, how am I going to find somebody who can relate to me? Is there going to be anybody that's 44? I was 43 at the time, I just turned 44. Is anybody going to be in my same situation? Well, the good news to that is, yes, there are tons of other people that are in almost the same, almost maybe even exactly the same predicament that you are. Fortunately, I had two very special people in my very last class that I took that I formed a bond with. They helped me through it. They helped me study. It was amazing to have that. So if you feel alone, reach out to somebody right beside you. They took me under their wing. It was amazing. And they were probably 20 years younger than me. So, I had that. And then, I also, feeling that I was in a minority group because of my age, Virginia Western never treated me any different. The faculty, my instructors, I was just like everybody else. Part of another obstacle / it kind of covers all these questions. I have a very serious health condition called secondary adrenal insufficiency. An exuberant amount of stress will land me in the hospital and possibly dead. So I knew when I went into college that I had no idea how many hours of homework. I was averaging 10 hours of homework a week for one class. I had no idea how bad that was going to be. But even with the countless hours of homework, my instructors constantly encouraged me and were always there to help my stress load be as little as possible. So hang in there.
I would say to you guys that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your background or your abilities. What matters is reaching your destiny. So I say to you guys, never allow your circumstances or anything going on in your life to destroy your destiny. Keep fighting, keep moving forward, keep reaching. It will happen if you're willing to put in the work and the sacrifice.
I'll piggyback on that. Keep your eye on the ball. Look at the far. Look at the long-term outcome, not at the short term. In the short term, most of these colleagues of mine here who have related stories are tougher than mine. But if you get through that short term, your long term will be better for you, your family, your acquaintances, your friends, everything. So in the short term, yes, you will have to make sacrifices. Give up music, give up not going to football, give up not going to the bars. But in the long term, that will help you. It's hard. You want to have fun. I wanted to have fun. I had a motorcycle. I would go all over the place. And I would fall all the time from the motorcycle because I was doing funny stuff, But anyway, for this question, what would you advise for students who have disabilities, they are part of the minority, or they're not they're first generation student? I think I will actually address the people who are not the minority. who do not come from a different culture, who do not have disabilities. Just like Mindy here had to reach out, it took her, it probably took you a struggle to reach out. I mean, I would advise the ones who are not the minority, not with disabilities, not with culture, a different culture, to reach out to those who are the minority, to those who have disabilities. Because it's hard. It's very hard. More harder than you think, because you do not come from a different culture. For you, everything is normal. When I first came here to the US, within 5 years, 9/11 happened. And for the last 18 years, I've been living under that shadow, because I am held responsible for that, right? So reach out to people like us. Reach out to the people who come from refugee countries. They don't know. Reach out to the people who come, like Dr. Alexander here. When they're students, reach out to them. Ask them, what can we do? Can we help you? Are you okay? How's your home? The single word that you must remember is that as humans, we have to care. And we do have that ability. We care for our pets. We care for our brothers and sisters. So the word care, if ever I wanted you to take away the word, anything from this, is care. It means giving time. It means sacrificing your fun time in order to help somebody who's in trouble. But if you have care in your heart, you will come out at the top. Thank you.
Do you want to add anything, Alexandra? We have just a minute.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
talked too much. Okay, just one thing that for those that feel that you don't belong, take one step at a time. Just one step at a time. You have heard that a lot, but think about anything that you do as a process in life. You know how to eat well now, but when you were a baby, the food was all over your face, or in your mouth. Now you can speak to people without even looking at a spoon, right? Think about everything that you're doing, like when you were a baby and you learned how to walk. You don't remember how many times you fell, right? I hope you don't. Because none of us remember the first 2 years of our life when we learned how to walk. You know why? Because if we remember those days when we fell, we will be crawling, not walking. Think about that. Every setbacks that you feel, that you go through, is a setup for you to continue moving on and on. Because life is a process. It's a process from the beginning that you get up in the morning and you open up your eyes. It's a process. Nothing can come all of a sudden, because it does like that, it doesn't stand long. So think about that. One step at a time. It's just a process. Concentrate on the end and move on through the process.
Great. Thank you. Our panelists would love to answer any specific questions that any students have in the audience today. We have a microphone set up here. You're welcome to come to it. Or you can raise your hand and just shout it out. We would love to hear. We have a time for a few questions.
Good morning, everyone. I have actually a comment of a story of mine, and then I have a question for you guys. Some of the things that I caught of y'all's stories, I have actually lived in the last 26 years. And my life was really rough when I started. And it took my beloved soulmate and his mother to push me to where I am today. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in school again 10 years later. So my question for you guys is, those special people in your lives, if they weren't pushing you, would you be able to still push yourself to become who you are today? Did it take that one special person to push you, or did it take your courage on top of theirs to push you to where you're at today?
For me, the answer would be it was innate. It was internal, my DNA. It took courage for me to do the things that I was able to do, because again, I did not get it from home. And reflecting on my life, it's like you can't teach what you don't know.
Right.
And you can't lead where you won't go. So how could someone tell me how to navigate this process when they've never been down that road?
Great. And I just wanted to step in quickly and say, we know that some of you all may have 1 o'clock classes, and we understand, but we'll answer a few more questions for those who can stay. So,
For me personally, I didn't actually touch on this, but I will agree that when someone challenges you to do the best that you can do, I received a text message one day that said they couldn't wait until I hit rock bottom. And I will tell you now that this mom, this student, this single mom, whatever you want to refer to me as, was not ever going to see rock bottom. I had a lot of support from faculty, from my family. My little boy was the one that pushed me and put me where I am today. But that one text message, that's what did it. And here I am.
Glad to have you.
Well, one thing that I would tell you about that is that in my case, it wasn't innate. I got it. But one thing that students here at Virginia Western have different from many other places, that you have people ready to help you. They're eager to help you when you reach for them. We don't know, and I'm sorry that I'm included in this case because I work here, but we don't know how you're going through until you reach to us. Many universities, many places, they don't have the things that you have here. The college that I went to, if you fail, you fail, that's it. The professor didn't care about that. You don't have any place to go to care about it. And if you complain to the dean, you're out of the school and the teacher continue teaching. So sometimes you don't get that support from the person that you love the most. And it's not because they don't want, it's because they don't know how sometimes. And I don't blame my grandmother when she was telling me things like that. She didn't have any education, so she couldn't know better. I cannot judge her for that. So sometimes you don't have it with the person next to you. You don't have it in yourself, but you can reach out for other people. I always encourage people, reach out for others. There will be one person that will be willing to help you out, go through the process. There will be always one. We are not alone. And I don't know if you're Christian or not, but for some people that are Christian, I said, look, if the big guy, Jesus Christ, was to spread the word of wisdom around the world, and he said, let me look for 12 people to help me out. Why don't you look for some too? You see? He got the whole power, and he could do it by himself. But he looked for 12 more people to help him out. So if he did it, why not me? Oh yeah, I'll reach out for more. So don't hesitate to do that. Reach out for more.
Thank you.
Good question.
yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Too short. I don't know how close to get to this. Hi. I grew up with a disability. I have autism, and is really difficult to get through school without a lot of issues. And so my dad wasn't the most supportive, and my whole life I've been degraded for doing even the tiniest thing wrong. And it doesn't make it very easy here or anywhere, because I've gone to a regular 4-year college, and I had to drop out because of I was put in a psychiatric hospital, and it really is really difficult, but I don't have like any kind of support network at home, because anytime that I ask for help, I get lectured about how I'm not gonna be able to do anything, and I'll never be as smart as he is, and I'll never graduate, and I'm not worth anything, that kind of thing. And I've already taken longer than normal to graduate, and I'm not even getting a 4-year degree for it. So I was just wondering, I don't know how to overcome that. I don't know how to deal with that.
Thank you for your courage to come to the mic. You have so many resources made available to you right here at Virginia Western. If Sherry Meixner would raise her hand, and Hillary Holland, they are in the same suite with TRIO, and this is what we do. We provide that support for you that you may not get otherwise outside of the realms of the walls in your classroom. But we're here for you, okay? TRIO, that's what we do. We support you. And please come to our office suite. We're all there together. We're here to help you. So I don't know if you've reached out before, but if not, I extend the invitation to come see what we're all about, okay? And we can provide you that support so that you can be successful. Thank you for your courage.
Yes, and I thank you too. I think it's a lot of courage to come up here and ask that question, you know. It's an excellent question. You don't have a disability. We are the ones who have the disability. To not be able to reach out to you. We are the ones who don't have empathy. We are the ones who need to look out for students like you. The first thing a human being does is care for another person. And to those who don't have disabilities, that's why I was saying we need to find students like you. We need to befriend them. We need to not run away from them. It means taking courage. It means wasting time. It means, you could be having fun, but those are the sacrifices we are made for. And it's commendable that Virginia Western, I just heard, they have such a good system to help students like you and the one before you. We must, as human beings, reach out to these students. We must see them. And faculty, their role is not only to teach you the subject. I am faculty too. I need to reach out if a student is crying. Why did she cry or he cry? Why is he not in the class today? What happened? What's going on in his home? At least I must reach out. And if they don't want to say it, they want to be private, then that's their thing, But once I reach out, I'm sure you're going to be very happy to tell me what's going on in your life, correct? And what can I do to help, correct? And that's what we need to develop in us as we go along on this life journey. Do not feel that you're alone, ever. You're in a very blessed country. There are many, many resources here. Unlike Alexandra and myself, you know, so you'll be okay.
I want to let the audience know that there may be more of you all that have questions, and many of our panelists are going to stick around. And please feel free to come up and ask any of us any questions after the program. So we thank you all so much for attending this event today. And I think that our final message was a great takeaway that reaching out both ways. If you're a student and you're having some obstacles, please reach out to a staff member, a faculty member, a fellow student. And anyone who's feeling like they're feeling pretty good, maybe don't have obstacles, also reach out. Reach out the other way and invite other students to join you with different activities, events, study groups, other things like that. So reach out and care for one another. It's a great way to persist through your time at Virginia Western. So thank you all so much. And again, if you have questions, feel free to stick around. And our panelists, if they'll